Hello, my name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton Sihon. I am really excited about this. This has been a little bit, maybe almost a year, little bit less than a year that I've been wanting to introduce this special person that we have here tonight, Barbara Evans. Sacred geometry is something that's really cool and important for me. And by the way, my name is I'm with Swiftfire International. I didn't even say that. So we do weekly posts and videos and try to get everyone educated and understanding a little bit more. And this topic is just something that's really important to me. And I'll go into a little bit about that too. But first of all, I just want to say, Miss Barbara Evans, I'm so honored and happy to have you with us today.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here with you all.
Yes, and she is all the way from Florida, actually, but further away, actually from England, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, we've been in the US though for almost 25 years, so
wow,
a long time.
So long enough to be a little bit know about the United States a bit, huh?
I guess so.
So I don't know if I even told you, but I actually went to the University of London, and I lived over in Germany when I was a kid, and we lived in England for a summer as a kid, and then I went back in college. So we have that in common too. So how I met Miss Barbara, oh my gosh. So I went to a conference in Dallas to go see Joe Dispenza and a few other people. There were lots of people there, but there were Barbara was there, and she had a big, huge U-shaped lots of tables full of these beautiful discs. Here is one of them, and I'll let her talk to you about what this one is and more about it. But you can see the sacred geometry, you can see there's some beautiful dolphins and what have you. But and she has a ton of other things, all different kind of products that all had sacred geometry on it. Well, immediately when I went to walk over in this direction, of course there's vendors everywhere, you know, all the authors and all the conference speakers there had their own little thing. And I felt like just a magnet sucked into her little area, or her big area, I should say. And I just literally could feel emotional is the word I think I've used over and over again. I literally felt overwhelmed and with love and just emotions and just peace and calming. And we ended up, you know, looking. I stayed there, I don't know, as long as I could in between waiting to get into the next session. And I came back and I came back and I came back. I mean, we kind of like did our little round, you know, when there was a lunch break or dinner or what have you. And even on bathroom breaks, if I didn't even have to go to the bathroom, I was like, Brian, I'll be right back. I'm just going to go to that booth over there because it feels so good. And because I'm just so enamored by all of these shapes, and specifically everything that had to do with the flower of life, because this has been, I have a necklace that I wear and I've just been really drawn to the flower of life. I guess since around 2012-ish, I've been just really, anyway, but so I met Barbara there. I actually introduced myself, talked to her. She had a book. Of course, I had to get the book, and I had to narrow down which beautiful pieces that I was going to take home with me. And I asked her right on the spot, like, what can we do to get a class of some kind so I can get you to teach? Because she's so knowledgeable. I mean, I just sat there and talked to her, and she's giving me all this information about how she's got all this and what, you know, what, anyway, she's going to tell you that. But I was like, I have to interview you. And immediately she's like, sure. So this has been a few months in the making, and it's finally now happening. So I'm really, really, really excited. But Barbara, before we really get launched off into specifics on actual sacred geometry, please tell us a little bit about you and how you got started in all this.
As a young person, I was fascinated by the planet, fascinated by biology, and actually trained as a biologist. So started off my adult life as a teacher in a high school in England, teaching biology. Then the big shift started to happen after my father developed cancer and passed away. And just before, in the few days before he passed away, there was this really strong sense that life was not meant to be this way. And my interpretation of that was that we were not meant to leave this world in pain and fear, which is what I was observing in his experience. And it was almost as if that triggered a complete change of direction within my own life. And at the same time as he had been getting more and more sick, I was also getting sick too. So once he had left, I had to address the fact that I was not well. My immune system was very out of balance. I was having all sorts of weird sort of experiences, including one that I've never heard anybody else talk about, that even just washing vegetables in cold water from the faucet would cause me to come out in hives everywhere. So all sorts of weird stuff that should not have been happening. And I was led, instead of going for to traditional medicine, which was what my background was, I found myself going for a shiatsu treatment, which was very outside of my comfort zone, very outside of my knowledge. And the lady who did this shiatsu treatment, so shiatsu is a type of bodywork that is based on Chinese medicine. And she was able to help to rebalance my energy so that my joy and my enthusiasm started to come back into my life again. And it was a transformational experience. I would go for a session with her every 2 weeks to start with. And she just made an absolutely phenomenal difference in my life. So in response to that, I started to buy books about shiatsu. Also, she introduced me to flower essences and essential oils. And so I was buying books on oils and flower essences as well, and just learning as much as I possibly could. And it was about that time that my husband's job was relocated from the UK to the US. So I arrived in the US with my pile of books and my own flower essences and my own essential oils, and really ready to take care of my own health. And a few months later, in my mailbox arrived this brochure, Train to be a shiatsu practitioner. And it's like, what is the chance of that? So I did. And so I trained, and I started my exploration of energy and how energy can make a difference, huge difference to our health and well-being. And so I also studied Reiki and added that in. And thought I'd found my place in life and was very much working with clients. Then my mother passed away very, very suddenly, and very unexpected, very different experience to my father's passing. And that led me on a whole new journey of healing for myself. And that journey is what led me to find, first of all, sacred geometry, which I'd never even heard of, and also to start painting. And the only thing I wanted to paint was the sacred geometry that I had seen. And the first piece of sacred geometry I saw is exactly what is on your t-shirt, the flower of life. Yes, absolutely beautiful. And it's like, you know, the books say that contains all of the information on which the universe is built. And it has just fascinated me ever since. This discovery of sacred geometry for me happened back in 1999. So it's been quite a long journey. It's looking at a considerable chunk of my life in the development of what has now become a new healing modality in its own right, the art of raising frequency.
Wow. I think that might be the first time I heard that part. I
I
didn't.
think it probably is. Yes.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, you have several different, you have small discs, you have big discs, you have, your books, you have another book coming out, you have like scarves, like, and you have actual pictures, paintings. How did that part start? So, I mean, I know angels were a big part of giving you these images, or like how was this translated to for you to even get this from something in here to a real physical thing that was helping people?
And I mean, it happened in stages. Although the very first painting I did was a labyrinth. And I had seen a labyrinth in the book on sacred geometry, and I really knew I wanted to paint the flower of life, but it was too difficult. It was like, how can I paint that? I don't even know where to start. So the labyrinth just had these 7 layers, 7 rings, and it was like, I can manage that. And so that's where I started. And even on that very first, very, very simple painting, I could feel those energies flowing through me and into the painting. And there was this knowing within me that the work I was to do was not only to help me with my healing journey, but also to help everybody else that was in the slightest bit interested in the work that I was creating.
Wow.
So
you then translated some of the paintings and replicated them to where people could buy them and take them.
Yeah. And again, that did not happen straight away. It was a considerable length of time where I started painting, and then it was, well, how can I share these? And it actually took a long time to find a printer who was able to capture the beauty and to have the prints look like the original pictures. And the prints very much carry the energy of the original pictures, so that they are able to help other people. And I look at it that this geometry is the language of the universe.
Yes.
That we have within us everything that we need. It's already inside of us, but a lot of our potential is sleeping. So how can we awaken that potential that we hold? And I see that these help us to awaken that potential little bit by little bit, so that we can be more of that true essence, that true person that we are, and to express our gifts within the world. I like to think of it as, and help to make the world a better place. I mean, my passion is to create, for the world to be a place of peace and beauty and a joy and abundance for all people. And so this work is helping to awaken that divinity, if you like, within every single person within the world.
Yes, and I love this because for me, I wasn't really sure why I was so drawn to sacred geometry. But as you know, and some of the people on here may not know, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I study a lot of quantum physics, neuroscience. I'm kind of a geek when it comes to anything with space and the cosmos and everything, frequency. And I specialize in aromatherapy and crystals, and mine was kind of a journey too, where it was like, okay, because of my background in the beginning, I had a little bit of programming, so it was like, oh, can I go there? And I started out kind of tiptoeing in and looking at essential oils to begin with, through my own healing crisis. And at first got a little backlash on that, but then it was like, you know what, it's in scriptures, it's used, and our grandparents used it, our great grandparents used it, Jesus used it, if you're a Bible person or a Jesus person. And then that led me to crystals, and that was still a little thing. And I know that's a big part of what you work on too. Matter of fact, I have a crystal card deck that I should send you if I hadn't sent it to you. But mine has like decrees, and it has a picture of the crystals, and it has you know, the companion oil, essential oils that go with it.
Beautiful.
And so basically, when we started playing around with these, you can use them like flashcards, but we were, you know, instead of actually having a real crystal, when I was working with someone, just like you were talking about, the prints did just as much as the real thing. In my case, instead of actually having an essential oil or a crystal, we were giving people, you know, just a card to hold on to, and literally people were just as strong with just a representation of this, because everything is frequency and light, than they were if they were holding just a single a crystal or putting an oil on. Which, you know, you had talked about maybe grabbing a card or whatever. I mean, I think that we can get caught up in like right and wrong and what have you, and we just like, let's just look at the science of things, and because God is the biggest science, source is the biggest scientist of all. And my next thing, like when I started really looking into all of this, my thing was frequency, like you. So I was like, well, what are all the things that have frequency? Of course, high level music, art, you know, high vibe people, certain foods, you know, high vibe foods, crystals, oils, earthing, you know, getting in the sun, laughter, you know, there's so many different ways. And sacred geometry is just another layer to that. And so it was like, oh my gosh, you know, this is like a combination of like all my favorite things, because you were actually, you know, using and incorporating crystals in your healing modalities with the sacred geometry.
Right.
And I mean, I was just like, you know, this is like all the things I love, you know. And I love your tagline, because you talk a lot about, you know, raising everyone's vibration, you know, just getting to that high frequency, because we're at 67 megahertz on a healthy adult day. But if we get any lower, and even in the 40s, the 50s, you're talking about opening ourselves up to dis-ease in the body. And so there's a lot of things that can cause that, whether it's dead food, coffee, you know, don't be mad at me by saying that, but there's different things that can cause, you know, negative people, you know, negative thinking, negative talk, you know, the news, depending on what you're looking at, you know, there's things that can bring us down. So these are all tools that God has given us to help keep our body in the highest frequency possible, because we don't even have to be 67. We can go higher than that. I mean, love is one of the highest, which is why I love, like, all of your discs have some decree and or connection. Like you have a wisdom one, you have a healing one. Can you share a little bit about some of the different ones that you have and what the inspiration is on that?
Yes, I have a healing one here actually, and this one was it seems to me that the video does not do justice to these.
It doesn't.
The colors are so much more vibrant than they're looking to me on the screen. So the colors are incredibly vibrant. This one is called Healing the Waters of the Earth. And the intention for this picture was to really help to heal the water of the planet. But of course, we are also such a high percentage of water that this disc is very much healing. This was my very first painting that goes out into the world. And so this was another life-changing moment for me when this was created. And so the vibrations from the image interact with us at a vibrational and, I believe, cellular level to help to restore harmony within the cells. So you can use an affirmation, you can sort of absorb the energy from the image. You can sort of incorporate them into your life in so many different ways. Having them on the shelf near where you're working. Some people will put them under their pillow at night so that they're sleeping in that energy, just really to help to awaken that innate healing ability that we all have within ourselves, and sometimes seem to lose touch with. So it's very much about awakening that potential in every form that potential takes within us. And they are all filled with love. They come from a place of love. They are like love in a disc, and bring that and share it with our lives. There's a set of, these are called personal empowerment discs, and there is a set of 6 of these. The actual images, there were 18, but we picked from the 18 images the ones that would make the most sense, and the most beautiful discs. So we have healing, and then we have wisdom. And going along with wisdom is love, because I truly believe that in order for us to be the best we can be, we need to be working from a place of love and wisdom, and not from a place of fear. So these help to push that fear out so that we can truly work through love and wisdom. Then we have joy. I feel that joy is such a guide. When you feel joy within your heart, we truly are on the right path. If we're feeling fear, if we're feeling any of those negative emotions, it's like a message to us that something's not right here, and we need to take notice and to really truly try and reconnect with the joy that is in deep within our hearts. This one is called, well, it has 2 names. It started off being called Freedom, and now it's called New Dreams. The actual painting was called Creating the New Dream. The guardians of love and wisdom stand either side, helping that new dream come into being. And then the last one of these is called Cosmic Sunrise. So this is about stepping into that world of peace and beauty and joy, and really creating a world that is based on those wonderful principles, and helping that shift to take place, so that it's like, I feel that this work is helping to bring heaven to earth.
It is. I'll tell you what, it is. And I've seen so many people who have had that same sort of visceral connection. Because I have kind of a interesting background working with some things. And when I was introduced to Dr. Joe that same weekend, he had talked about this Kaleidoscope class that he was working on. And like I said, I was emotional every time that I ever was even connected to any of your art. And something about the Merkaba, and something about the sacred, the flower of life, like specifically, those are just like big time for me. And which is why it's actually on the cover of my book. I mean, I have the flower of life on here, and it's a person inside of a Merkaba. So, and this is the science of miracles. It goes into a lot of this stuff. And when Dr. Joe had this class on the Kaleidoscope, you know, I'm just like, okay, let's learn about this. And he was talking about how it was the language, you know, there was going to be different images, and how he was trying to, you know, kind of collect sacred geometry and whatever things to, you know, what the Kaleidoscope would do. It sort of made all these, you know, beautiful colors that change. And he was finding it difficult to not have just stills that were doing it, but something that was actually moving. Paid a bunch of money, got it all done. And when it was time for us to actually get to that part, I mean, he invested a lot of money in getting this done. When we got to participate in what he had done, it's supposed to be, I think, like a 50-minute deal where you're just watching a kaleidoscope, and it does all these things chemically to your brain to help you have serotonin and balance and get the brain hemispheres back and forth, and all these things that happen during this time of you just like you know, staying in that. And I couldn't do more than like a minute at a time without just having this big breakdown of just crying again. Of just this over, it wasn't like, it was that, I guess, love, but also just, I wasn't really sure. I couldn't put my finger on it. And I would go back and we only had so many days where we would have this available to us. And every single time I would try, I would still have that same thing. And I had a few people who were in the class with me, and I'm like, is anybody else having this thing going on? But the next day I sleep with this next to my bed. I have the loved one, and you're right, it doesn't do justice at all because this is so vibrant. I wish you could see how beautiful this is. But I have the loved one, the wisdom one, and I have this one is it the voice of divinity?
It is.
And, I still want to get the rose one and the healing one. Those are on my list. But when I woke up, I saw this and I see it. And you know how sometimes things are in your view so much that you just maybe don't even really see it anymore. And I got up, and this, for whatever reason, I just saw it again. I really looked at it and I was like, oh, the kaleidoscope is just snapshots basically of sacred geometry. Like, right. I don't know why, you know, and because he never said that. He just said like, it's a kaleidoscope. And I kind of looked, and you know, when you see it, you're like, oh, that looks like this and that looks like that. But I had not put it all together until I saw that. And I go, no wonder something about all of this. And I know it has to do with some, you know, believe it or not, having to do with like time travel and some things having to do with, you know, space and dimensions. And, you know, there's some people who are like, what is she talking about? And the other people are like, I'm totally there. And we actually have a guy I'm interviewing right after this about time travel and space. So, but I'm telling you, when you see those like wormholes or what have you, or if you go in any kind of like encounter, sacred geometry is a big part of that language and what you see and what's there. And you know what? On a physical level, everything that exists is broken down to sacred geometry. I'm talking about sand, plants. I mean, everything that's in nature is broken down to the most tiniest bit of sacred geometry, including our very cells. Right. So
the structure of our DNA and the molecules in the DNA. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So do you want to speak into any of that?
I like to say something about the kaleidoscope because for many, many years, I have considered that these paintings I create are like snapshots of a kaleidoscope. So that if you imagine these energies out in those dimensions and they are constantly moving, and then I capture just that instant in time and bring them into the painting. So I very much regard these as captures from a kaleidoscopic energy. So that is very beautiful and interesting that Dr. Joe is doing that. I like to be able to capture it and bring it to be still. Some people, when they focus intently on the images I've created, some people see them moving and some people, they stay still for. For me, they stay absolutely still while I watch them. But for others, sometimes they will move around. Sometimes the different layers will move they see them moving in different directions. Sometimes it's as if they move forward and become three-dimensional structures. And then for others, they stay completely as a, you know, as a painting or as a disc, and they don't see any of that. It depends on, I guess it depends on how sensitive they are to seeing the energy. Because we all have that ability, but it's developed to a different extent in different people. And for me, they stay still, and I'm really pleased because I have to paint them.
Yes. And you do a great job. I love all the symbolism outside of even the actual shapes. You go into different colors, mean different things. And I mean, you're very detailed with each and every stroke of your artwork means something.
All the colors hold crystal energies. So it's like in this image of the healing the waters of the earth, to me, this I wasn't painting blue, I was painting lapis lazuli and azurite. So those frequencies of those crystals go into the different colors. And the center was rose quartz and pink kunzite. So you have all of the crystal energies within the images as well. And that contributes to the frequency that people receive. Very much like your cards.
Yeah, so the higher that we can go, the stronger our connection is with Source, which gives us clarity, gives us joy, gives us understanding, courage, wisdom, and just connection with other people too. So we don't feel so isolated or alone, because we're all in this together. As much as the news or wherever wants to keep us on the divide on a regular and keep that illusion of separation, we're still all one, and we're still in this unified field. Even, you know, we all have our biofield, but even the earth has a biofield, and we are all connected in that field. Yes. So yes, but going back to nature, because we know nature has high frequency too. I like that. For any of you who are really more interested in studying and want to geek out on this, you can go look at like fruit and flowers and really everything. Like just Google sacred geometry in nature, and there are loads of videos out there. There's one this girl does, and she just breaks apart different fruit and vegetables, and I mean it's all exact in how everything is made, and it just goes to me. Goes back to just how great our creator is and how intricate details of our bodies, you know, as a doctor too. It's like, if you got a liver situation going on, it's not a liver situation, you know, let's look at the whole endocrine system, because everything works together. And that's why I like naturopathic, you know, medicine instead of Western, because Western, nothing against Western. I'm just saying, in my experience, if something was going with the liver, they're going to give you drugs for a liver, and they're very specified as if the liver is the thing. But you have to look at what's the root cause and what is the orchestrated, you know, symphony here going on to help support all the things from the bottom up, from the inside out. And for me, these, like you said, work at a cellular level. And of course, I'm going to do all the things that I can, whether it's juicing and eating high vibe food and being around happy people and only reading good things and only doing, you know, engaging in hopefully good education like this and that kind of stuff. But this is just another tool for me. And it's been exciting to be able to connect with you and learn a little bit about this.
Yeah, it's been amazing connecting with you too. And I've very much enjoyed that connection and being able to share this work. Greatly appreciate that.
So, and you do have you have one book. Can you tell us a little bit about that and your upcoming book as well?
Yes, I actually have 2 books already out. Okay. One of them is called Messages of Universal Wisdom. I have that over here. So this one was my first book, and it's like Messages of Universal Wisdom, and that one was it was published in 2009. It tells the story of the first 13 images that I painted that go out into the world. And there's lots of details about the sacred geometry and how I've used the crystals, and a lot of my story of how this all developed is also into that book. My second book was published in 2016, and that is called The Art of Raising Frequency. And that is, I look on the first book as being very much about personal development, if you like. The second book is a great tool, particularly for practitioners, to help practitioners to incorporate this work into their practices. And then the third one is I am focusing on every single day right now, and thinking, if I was if I was being kept to my regular schedule right now, I don't know how this book would ever get finished, but it seems like I have this gift of time where I don't leave my house. And so every day I am writing. I have a co-author, and we are connecting and putting as much work into that as we possibly can, and hope to get it finished fairly soon. And that one is called Rays of Creation, a Pathway to Wholeness.
Wow, I like that.
So it's like there are 3 different series of paintings at different frequency levels. So they're all helping us to raise our frequency, but it's almost like 3 different steps.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am really excited. I can't wait. You're gonna have to keep me posted on that one. And I didn't know about the other one, so I'm gonna have to get my hands on that one too.
Which one? The Art of Raising Frequency? Is that the one you're missing? Or
I have the big one. Let me see. Well, I don't have it behind me. The art, I couldn't see it in your when you held it up, but it's the one that you weren't supposed to sell, but I think it was maybe your display.
Oh, right. Oh, yes, I remember. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't think that's the one for the practitioners, though. This, I think, is just the art, which I loved. In the book, she actually shows from the beginning stages of each part of how she added things and why and what they mean. So she goes in steps. Kind of reminded me, I don't know if you're familiar with Akiana. Have you ever heard of Akiana?
No.
She was like little and having all these encounters with God and other things, and she was like missing time, and she would come back and paint all these elaborate things. She painted at 8 years old this amazing picture of Jesus, and specifically, but she's painted multiple types of people and different things, and she was on Oprah and everything else, is because it wasn't like an 8-year-old type picture. But she has a book out, and it kind of reminded me what you did. It's like you're getting these inspired, snapshots of even down to the colors and the shapes and crystals and, all of this. And again, it goes back to that whole, how we're so detailed, how this is not a mishap. To me, it gives me courage that if God can be that, I don't know the word, specific, I guess, and everything about us, put your nose here, put the eyes here, and
yes.
Make sure these things, and even with the intricate details of all, plants and wildlife and nature and art, then that for me is like, wow, how much does he really care, And I've studied too water, messages in the water. You probably studied Amoso, Miss Dr. Amoso, who passed in 2014. I taught on his stuff and brought slides to conferences for years, because our we're like 70% water, 90-something% water up here, and they've shown that water, when it's crystallized, depending on what's the intention behind it, will actually go into a sacred geometry type thing too. Like even on the molecular structure, water.
I mean, very much in a sense like snowflake crystals, but within the water. Yes. Yeah. And then if the water's polluted, or if it's been in a negative environment, then it loses all of that structure. And so we want the water within our bodies to have that beautiful structure to it and to be alive, and not to be taking in, or to allow the water within us to lose that structure, and because we then lose our vibrancy as well.
Yes. And I do biofeedback too, and I don't know if you even knew that, but I have a certain kind of technology scanner where I can scan people from long distance, and it goes into all the different things that are out of balance. And when I first got this, I looked on there, and of course it has things like Bach flowers, you mentioned flowers, and essence, and it goes into body systems and anatomy, and it goes into chemistry and sensitivities of food and chemicals, and brain balance and hormones, and then guess what? Essential oils and sacred geometry. And I was like, you're kidding. And so when I first was being trained in this, I looked it up, and each each piece of sacred geometry meant something specific to help support the physical body. And I was like, you are kidding me. Like, this is like, why are we not taught this in school? You know, like, this is, so it was just a combination, I think, of a lot of different information all at once. It was like, this is so, the timing of me meeting you was just amazing, and still is amazing. And I'm so excited about other people getting excited about this, because I know you're passionate about it. And I love that you have combined art, which is high frequency, crystals, which is high frequency, you know, sacred geometry, and you're actually putting these decrees in too. So this is like a 4, unless there's any layers that I don't know about.
Oh yes, the sound as well. So you can see
sound.
some crystal singing bowls behind me, and I play those while I'm painting, and they have specific tones to support different aspects of our bodies. So I have several bowls, for example, that are very good at supporting the adrenal glands, and helping people who have adrenal fatigue. So that type of sound goes into the paintings as well.
Wow.
Yes, I will sometimes have the crystal bowl will be sitting on the painting, and I'm really not sure how I do this, but I play the bowl with my left hand. Normally, if I'm in a workshop or something, or if I'm on my own, I always play the bowl with my right hand. But while I'm painting, I play the bowl with my left hand while I'm painting with my right hand. And so the sound frequency is really infused into the whole of the painting.
Wow. That is a lot.
Yes.
So, I mean, you might as well just be bathed in frequency, and like all the, I mean, layering and is the best way to anchor anyone into something high level. And basically it trains your body to do its, to go back to that new normal of just muscle memory of being high vibe. Because when we're born, we're high vibe, you know, we don't have the programming. We're fresh from, you know, creator, and, you know, we don't have the doubts and the fears, and, you know, maybe we're trying to figure out what's going on, but, you know, we're not giving the processed foods and the GMOs and the programming on TV and the programming in the institutions and the government. And so, you know, this is a way for us to keep sane in the midst of, you know, literally being in this world, but not from the world, right?
Yes, yes. And really allowing our own hearts to be a very, very powerful guide as to when something is right with us, when we are in that alignment, and when we've lost that alignment or stepped off it for a little while.
Well, I'm just really excited. I appreciate all of your amazing information, and I'm in total agreement with you. Tell us how we can get in touch with you, because I know there's a lot of people on here who are going to want to get more connected and, you know, learn more about this and see. I know you do workshops. I know right now we're not doing anything workshops, but your book that's coming out, or maybe any of these things for their own homes, you know, how can we get in touch with you?
So I have a website, which is crystalwingshealingart.com. On the website, there is a lot of background information as well as a shopping area. So you can explore the different things that we've talked about and can shop online if you wish. There's also little buttons on that homepage where you can connect to my Instagram account, which is Art of Raising Frequency, with a, the word has escaped me.
The at sign.
No, what are they called?
No.
The lines that sit on the bottom.
Oh, underscore.
Underscore, yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, so it's art underscore of underscore raising underscore frequency is my Instagram account. But you can connect to that through my website, crystalwingshealingart.com. And also you can connect with my Crystal Wings Healing Art Facebook through the website as well. We have a newsletter, so you are very, very welcome to join the newsletter. We will from time to time have special offers on some of the things that we have. We've been having a disc of the month for the last, well, since the beginning of this year, and really helping people to start to build their disc collection at a very good price. So yes, you're very welcome to do that. That would be delightful. And my contact information is also on the website, both my email and phone number. And I'm always happy to speak with people who have questions.
Awesome. All right, Miss Barbara. And you can get like the big ones, and they also have little smaller ones too that can just go.
Right. So I don't know. Is everybody seeing both of us at the same time as they're watching the recording?
They're seeing you. Whoever is talking is the one that shows up.
So the disc that I am holding is a 3-inch diameter disc. And the disc that you are holding is a 6-inch diameter disc.
Yeah.
So yes, the small ones are very good. You can put one into your purse or your pocket and carry it around with you. The 6-inch ones, these 3-inch ones, very personal, very easy to use, very easy to hold in your fingers and focus on the disc. The 6-inch ones I see as sitting in a room and looking after the space of the room. So very much like a space holder, bringing their energy into the whole of the room. These do the same, but they are smaller, so they're much easier to carry around.
Well, I have both. So I have both of the I got I got 3 different discs, and I got them in the big and the little, because I was just like, I'm gonna need them in my pocket and I might need them wherever. So, and I'm going to get a bigger collection, so don't you worry about that.
Well, you may be interested in the new collection when it gets launched, the Rays of Creation.
Okay, I'll check that out, and I know everybody else will too. I thank you very much for your time and just giving us a little bit of sunshine here in the middle of all this stuff, and hope to have you back again sometime soon. You guys make sure to connect with her, and also if you are looking to connect more with us, we have a lot of different things coming up that you might be interested in. We have a few videos that we just did that you might be interested in too. So if you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, then you're going to find all of them. Oh gosh, I don't know. We have probably 200 different videos there now. The most recent ones we just did, I had David Rodriguez, who's and we were just talking about this whole awakening thing and what was going on, or what is currently going on in Hollywood and the politics. So that's an interesting interview. I also just interviewed Laura Eisenhower, who is the great granddaughter of Dwight Eisenhower, and we were talking also about the Great Awakening, and that's available on YouTube as well. I have coming up here, I will be interviewing Corey Good, who was actually big time part of the secret space program and some of the underground stuff. He's a whistleblower. And also have Brooks Agnew, who is a physicist, and we're going to talk about time travel and space on some of my favorite topics. And next week, I actually have Mary Rodwell, who is out of Australia, and she's an author and a speaker and facilitator and helper with people who have had different kind of encounters with any kind of cosmic situations, and I think she's going to be someone that you guys might be interested in. So I know Barbara probably knows some of those names, and maybe even you want to join us in some of those videos. But you can get all of that at Swiftfire on YouTube. You can go to my website, swiftfire.org. It's swiftfire.org, not .com. It has to be swiftfire.org. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that too. Just go to Dr. Sharnael. But thank you again for everybody being here, and I enjoy seeing you guys. I wish we could have done it live, but with the bandwidth, it's been a little bit kooky. So we're doing these recordings, and I'm just really, my goal is to get some awesome content out during this time in the quarantine, so you guys have some things to watch and get educated in while we're already home, and you know, until we can get back to whatever new normal ends up being, who knows. But anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any other topics that you would like me to cover, please do just send me some information, and I will do my best to find great experts in that if I don't know about it myself. And once again, thank you, Miss Barbara. Bless
Thank
you.
you.
And you have the most.
Been wonderful to be with you. Yes, I hope everybody has enjoyed.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.